everybody out there in the bookverse, it's Stephanie, and today I'm back with my November wrap-up. Now, I haven't done a wrap-up in a while. I think it's been 2 months, so kind of getting back into the swing of things because I actually have, read enough books for a wrap-up, and I actually have the time to film a wrap-up, so yeah, I'm feeling a little bit more into the groove that I was in before, and we are going to talk about the books that I read in November. So I only have 6 to talk about, which I know is a little bit under my better reading months, but for me, the last couple months since I started into school and I've been really busy with a lot of things going on, this has been a good reading month for me. So yeah, I read some awesome books too, some books that I really loved. So let's go ahead and jump right into the books. The first one I read was a carryover. I actually started, I think, back in September. Maybe it was October. No, I think it was September, and that is Fool's Fate by Robin Hobb. This is the third and final book in her Tawny Man trilogy, which is the third trilogy in her Realm of the Elderlings. And this one we're back with Fitz and the Fool and our people that we know from Buckkeep. And I love this series so much. I think this book was an amazing conclusion. I absolutely love the characters. I was so invested in it. I feel like I was really loving it, and then I stopped for some reason. I got busy, I don't remember. And then when I started reading it again, I could not put it down. I busted through the rest of the book, I think in a day, and I had hundreds of pages left. It was so gripping, so entertaining. I loved it so much. Oh my gosh, I am so sad to be saying goodbye to these characters for a while because I'll be reading the Rain Wild Chronicles next, and it kind of switches characters on us again, but I absolutely loved this. I didn't love the ending, and those of you that know me and know my thoughts on Realm of the Elderlings and Fitz and some characters that go along with him, you'll know why. I didn't love the ending. I felt like it was great up until about the last 50 pages or so, and then I'm like, no, this is unnecessary. This doesn't need to happen, and I was just kind of mad about that. But if I just forget about those last 50 pages, this book is amazing and perfection and everything that I wanted from the third book in this Tawny Man trilogy. So it was so good. If you haven't read Robin Hobb, you should. Everyone should read Robin Hobb. She's amazing, and I think this might be my favorite book in the Realm of the Elderlings that I've read so far. Whew, that's saying a lot. Well, if I take out that last bit that I just didn't like, I loved this book. It was phenomenal. Yeah, I can't say enough good things about Robin Hobb's writing style. The next book we're going to talk about is Malice by Heather Walter. This is a sapphic retelling of Sleeping Beauty, and it is a romance between Sleeping Beauty and Maleficent, or characters that kind of represent them in the story. I did enjoy this book quite a bit. It was definitely different than I was expecting going in. I didn't really think we would get that particular backstory of Maleficent. I thought it was very different, very well done. The world was fairly complex. There was a lot going on politics-wise, magic-wise, kind of trying to figure out how everything wove together. And I really did enjoy it a lot. It just didn't quite hit for me the way I was wanting it to. It was still good. It was still enjoyable, and I had a lot of fun, and I would recommend it because it was a fast read and it was just entertaining for me, but it just didn't catch me the way that I wanted to. I wasn't as invested in these characters as I was expecting I would be going into this. I did really enjoy the part with her mentor figure. I thought that was a very interesting kind of side story to throw in here. I didn't expect it to get as dark as it did. There's definitely some dark elements to this book that I did enjoy. I thought it was very surprising, which made it all that more thrilling for me. So I liked how she wove that part into it, but I just wasn't in love with these characters in this world quite as much. But like I said, I still would recommend this book. It was still a lot of fun, and if you want just kind of a fun fantasy romance book that's easy to get through and just kind of lets you binge it pretty easily, this is one for that, I think. It was a day. I think I read this book in a day. So yeah, it's not super long. It's like over 460 pages, but the writing on the pages is pretty big. So it wasn't really difficult to get through. I did enjoy it. I didn't love the writing style because I felt like it didn't make me as invested in the characters' lives as I would have liked. But overall, fun, good time, not a new favorite. But I will be continuing on with the series because I think this is a duology. Next book that I read was for my Top Shelf Society book club read for November, and that is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. This is kind of the classic dark academia book. It follows this group of students who are studying Greek at this New England school, this New England university. This isn't a spoiler, this is right at the beginning. The rest of the group get together and murder one of their fellows. And the first half of the book is kind of leading up to this murder, and then the second half of the book is what happens after this murder. And I really enjoyed this book. I, again, flew through it. I feel like I'm kind of flying through a bunch of these books. I must not have read very many days in November. I just read a lot in the days that I did read. But I read this one also in about a day and a half, and I found it so entertaining. I was really invested in this book. I wanted to know what happened. I wanted to know what was going on. I wanted to know if they got caught. I wanted to know if they got away with it. I wanted to know everything, and I loved Donna Tartt's writing style. I really enjoyed this book so much. I did not like some tropes or plot devices that were used within this book. They're just ones that I don't enjoy a lot in books, and I can't really go too much into it because most of them are towards the end. So that I did kind of take issue with. I would definitely look into trigger warnings for this book as well, because these kids have issues and a lot of stuff is going on. So if you are someone who likes to know trigger warnings going in, I would definitely say this book is one to look them up for. But I really loved this book. It wasn't a new favorite because of some of the issues I had with it. And I've heard some people didn't like the pacing of it so much, but I didn't have a problem with that. And I think it was a lot because I read it so quickly that I didn't have an issue with the slow parts. I didn't have time to get bored because I just busted right through them. I did enjoy the main character that we're following. And I feel like if you don't like the main character and you don't feel any kind of connection to him, it might kind of lessen your enjoyment of this book, because part of the beauty of the way she writes it is that she's writing it so you kind of are loving these very unlovable characters, and not necessarily loving them, but you're invested in them. And for me personally, I was rooting for them to get away with this murder, to not get caught. And that's something that I think Donna Tartt did really well, that she's making you want this main character to stay with this group of not so great friends and to get away with murder, which is kind of, you don't tend to root for the murderer always. But I really liked it. I thought it was very well done. The creepy vibes were definitely there. We got that dark academia atmosphere, which I feel like is lacking in some books that they do kind of market as dark academia. That's something that I definitely felt in this book, and I just really enjoyed it. I felt like it was so much fun. It was such a good time, and I don't know if I would ever read it again because knowing all the twists, I wouldn't enjoy it as much, but I would definitely recommend this book if you like dark academia, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is one that really started the dark academia trend. So it's kind of an essential read for dark academia readers, if you will. Next book I'm going to talk about, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. I read this one as part of a read-along I'm doing with my family leading up to Christmas. I don't feel like I really need to talk about this series that much because most people already know what it's about. And I feel like I loved this book so much more on this reread. I have kind of been looking at the books a little differently this time around because I am reading them a lot older and I've read a lot more since then, and the nostalgia is definitely still there. But I think this one was well written. I loved the pacing of this book. I love all the information that we gain in this book, the background, the history, that type of stuff. So I really enjoyed this book, and I think so far in this reread, this is maybe my new favorite of the series. I don't know. Next, I'm going to talk about the only graphic novel that I read this month, and that is Monstrous Volume 4 by Marjorie Liu and Sana Takeda. I have been reading this for a while now. I think I started maybe towards the beginning of the year, and I'm only on volume 4, which is a little embarrassing, but it's fine. And I felt like this one went really quickly. I think it went more quickly than the other ones, and I don't know if it's shorter or if maybe the plot just moved quick for me, but I did really enjoy it. I feel that we are a little spread out and we're jumping back and forth a little bit for my liking, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it was kind of interesting when it would kind of jump between characters within the same page. I don't know, that might just be a preference of mine within graphic novels. I don't think that's necessarily a criticism on them, it's just their style. Some of the new characters that we're introduced to in here are very interesting, very fascinating. Definitely want to know more there. There's more intrigue going on now, which is saying something because there already was a lot going on before. I am definitely surprised with how some of the plot is going and the way we're kind of moving towards in it. I wasn't expecting that when I first started reading this series. It's kind of hard to talk about because it is the 4th within the series, and pretty much anything I say is going to be a little bit of a spoiler. But overall, the series follows this girl who is trying in the beginning to find out what happened to her mother who was murdered, get revenge, and also find out more about these dark magical powers that she possesses. And the rest of the world is kind of going into a war, and a lot of them are trying to find her to be able to either kill her or use her. So overall, I love it. I love the art style in this series. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's probably my favorite part of it, but I also do enjoy the world. I think it's a very in-depth and complex world, which can be a little bit difficult at times, especially if I leave gaps between when I read different volumes of it. But overall, I like this series a lot. It's been so much fun, so interesting, and I really would love like a novel within this world to kind of understand it a little better. But yeah, definitely love this series and would highly recommend it if you like more complex fantasy world graphic novels. And the last book that I am going to talk about is Psytonic by Brandon Sanderson. This is the 3rd book in his Skyward series within his Psytoverse, and I actually went to the release party and the conference that led up to the release party for this book, and it was so much fun. It's so close to where I live, which was great, so I could just kind of go down there for a day trip. I didn't have to plan a whole big thing to do it, and I loved it. It was so much fun. There were so many Brandon Sanderson fans there, and there were a lot of different panels to go to, and we got to listen to Brandon Sanderson talk about a lot of different things and a lot about Psytonic as well, which was awesome because I actually read this book on release day. So I showed up on Tuesday, got the book, and then in between people talking and while I was waiting in line to get into the release party big finale, I read this book, and then I read it on the way home and ended up finishing it that night. So this is also a book I read in one day, which if I'm counting, I didn't read that many days in November. I just read a lot clumped within the days I did read. Okay, but into what the book is actually about. This series follows a girl named Spencer, whose father was a coward. He was branded a coward. He was a pilot and was branded a coward, and so it's very difficult for her. She's kind of looked down upon as the daughter of a coward, and they don't want her to be able to become a pilot as well, but that is her dream. That's all that she wants. So the first book is really about her trying to get into pilot school and navigating all of that. Spencer is a very unique character. Her personality is so different. She's so extra and just over the top ridiculous, and I really enjoyed her. I loved reading from Spencer's point of view. It was absolutely so fun. There's the cutest little animal companion Doomslug, and there's this really funny AI in here, and I just am enjoying this series so much. It's so fun and easy to get into, easy to read, and the books definitely jump a lot in between them. Like, we definitely get different stuff going on in between the different books. One thing that I would say might be a criticism of them is that they definitely follow the same kind of storyline. Like, you have very similar tropes within these books that are being used. Like, they have similar plots, but definitely different things going on within them. I don't know if that makes sense, but I definitely don't want to spoil the second and third books if you haven't read the first one. If you want a little bit more of spoilery information, I might do an individual review of Psytonic, because then I can actually talk about it and say more thoughts on it. But overall, I liked it. I thought it was so easy to get into. The world was fun. The new things that we learned were fun. The twists were very well done. I didn't see them coming, at least a few of them. There were a lot of twists, but I loved it. I thought this was such a great book, such a great addition to the series. I'm really enjoying Spensa, and I think she has grown throughout the series. I don't feel like we've kind of backtracked on Spensa's character arc and had to redo things. I think overall she has grown throughout it, but I definitely think that there are things that are repeated throughout the different books, and so you can kind of see a lot of it coming. But yeah, this is just so much fun to read on release day with everyone else there reading it with me. I think there were a couple other people who also finished it on release day as well. So that was just a great experience overall, and I'm sure that contributed to my enjoyment of the book. But yeah, this is definitely so much fun. I would highly recommend the series. It's such a great YA sci-fi series, and I just have so much fun with it. And those are the books that I read in November. It felt like such a great reading month for me, even though it's not my best. It kind of pulled me out of this slump of reading, and I loved it. I loved so many of the books that I read. They were so easy to get into, so easy to get invested in, which is kind of what I needed for November. So yeah, it was a great month for me. I'm so happy with it. Let me know down in the comments if you read any of these books and your thoughts on them as well, and let me know what your favorite read of November was. As always, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more from me, hit the subscribe button down below and the bell icon so you'll be notified when I post new content, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!